Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm D, and this is High Off Blue Hour. Hope everything is going all right with you guys. Hope you're having a good summer. I know it's a crazy world out there. Hopefully, things are working out best they can for you. Uh, Midjourney finally has video generation capabilities. It's actually been a long time coming because I'm an avid user. I've been an avid user of Midjourney. To me, it's been, if not the best, it's been at least one of the best models or websites or whatever you want to call it for generating high quality AI images. But Midjourney's been one of the best. But one of the kind of anticipations, just long time anticipations for Midjourney users have been, look, the images look so good. They have the ability to look so good, the potential to look so good. I can't imagine how good video is going to look once Midjourney starts to implement that. And it's been a long wait. In fact, the wait has been so long that Midjourney kind of seems late to the party when it comes to video generation in a way. I always talk about Kling AI. That's what I mainly use for AI video generation. Now I use Midjourney images to do that, but I generate the videos with Kling AI. Then you have LTX Studio, which I don't really use anymore, but I still have a subscription. I just don't really use it a lot, but LTX Studio is an option for generating AI videos. And then of course you have Runway ML, which is very popular. A lot of people prefer that to Kling AI and the other stuff. Runway ML has a lot of fans. And then of course, what is it? Google VO3. Haven't really looked a lot into that. I know everybody's been talking about that. It's supposed to be super impressive, but personally, honestly, I haven't just really looked into that. But I know that's out there, right? And then you have, I think it's called Sora. So at one point, people were really talking about that. So there's a number of companies and sites and things that have gotten to the video generation, image AI video generation game long before Midjourney, but Midjourney has finally done it. So we're going to just take a look at my Midjourney profile here, just on the Midjourney website. I often use Discord, but lately I've been using the website a lot more. And we're going to look at the very first image that I turned into that I tested out the Midjourney Animate / video feature with. And then we're going to look at the last couple images that I did, because I actually kind of had a bit of a change of heart in terms of my impression of this feature within Midjourney, right? So a little backstory though, because I know if you're looking at my profile page here, you're seeing a lot of stuff. I've been working on a Blade Underworld movie trailer for a movie that doesn't even exist, just a fake kind of AI trailer. And so I've just got a lot of Blade and Underworld, Selene and lichens, werewolves and all that stuff. I just got a lot of images that relate to that. That's why you're kind of seeing some of the stuff you're seeing. A lot of prompting, generating, seeing what works, what doesn't, reprompting. Just it's a lot of regenerations going on. But so one of the images, or one of the sort of scenes that I had been trying to get, was Blade and Selene on motorcycles, kind of, on the same street, relatively next to each other. And so we have this little section here where I just got a lot of these type of images, right? And most of them I'm not really a fan of, but I had to create them to kind of find what worked and what doesn't, what I liked, what I didn't like. But this image right here, I'm going to click on it. This is one of the images that I generated. And this was the image that I said, okay, I'm going to use Midjourney Animate, the Midjourney, video feature. I'm going to use that with this. I want to see what Midjourney will do with this image right here. And so to do that, what I did over here, you have kind of, your options, some of these things for upscaling, all the things that you're kind of used to. But then you have animate image, right? And then you have some options. You have auto, low motion, and high motion. And then you have manual, low motion, and high motion. Now the differences between these besides low motion and high motion, that kind of speaks for itself. You know, if you click low motion, you know, it's going to be kind of low motion. High motion is going to be a little bit more movement in the video. But the differences between the auto and manual part is that with auto, the AI is going to basically decide what the motion is, what's moving, what isn't, just what the animation in the video looks like and what specifically is being animated, all of that type of stuff. The AI is going to essentially decide for you. When you click auto, you're basically saying, hey, AI, make this picture, make stuff in this picture move. That's basically what you're doing when you click auto. Whereas with manual, you actually, you know, obviously along with the original still image, you're also going to have a prompt describing the motion. So now you can kind of say kind of what specifically you want to move and maybe even in what way, just kind of specific details, essentially giving you more control over what is happening in the video. Now for this first try, all I did was auto high motion. And so we're going to go take a look at the video or the videos that produced, because one of the things about Midjourney video is that when you do a prompt for when you generate a video, you end up getting 4 results. And so that's what you have right here now. And this is kind of different from Kling AI, which is what I use. Kling AI, you generate 1 video at a time, which I'm perfectly fine with that. This is more similar to LTX Studio, whereas with LTX Studio, when you generate videos, you generate 4 options at a time, and then you pick from those 4 and go on from there. So now I wasn't actually a fan of really any of these 4. Now there's always going to be something impressive about taking a picture and just basically essentially magically making that picture become a moving animated video, an image. That's always going to be just impressive by default. But in terms of comparing this to Kling AI, the results I often get with Kling AI, this just didn't really completely do it for me. Like it's nice, it's nice that Midjourney finally has videos and has stuff moving, but ultimately this wasn't anything that I could use for just varying reasons. One of the major ones being that it just looks very artificial, and I'm always prepared for AI generated things to have some level of an artificial look to them, but this is just kind of too much. It looks too much like a video game, not to mention the characters are relatively stiff in their movements, not very natural and lifelike. When I initially generated these, I was kind of like okay, Midjourney is in the early stages of putting together, getting their video model stuff together, and it's better than LTX Studio, but it still had a look to it where I'm like, maybe Midjourney, I'm not ready to leave Kling AI and use Midjourney in terms of video generation. That's basically where I was at, and I kind of just moved on, kept continuing to do the work I was doing, basically generating images in Midjourney to then take those images into Kling AI and generate videos there, right? So, but then I said, let me try it again. And so I've got 2 more images that I decided to turn into videos. And when I did it with these images, it actually made me have a little bit more kind of like, okay, maybe Midjourney is going to do something pretty cool here. So this image right here is this is a relatively old Midjourney image I generated, like maybe even like a year ago. Just obviously just a biker on a racing bike at night, wet street, you got your city lights, got the ambiance things going on with the lighting and the fog, just all those things that make the mood what the mood is. And so I'm like, okay, let's turn this into a video using Midjourney's video generation model, and this is what we got. Now, for this to generate these 4 options that were generated, I did auto, and I had the motion set to high. I did not do any specific prompting for creating a video, and this is what we got. And it was at this point where I was actually very impressed, because this sticks very close to the original video, to this original image. And the actual video that is produced is smooth and consistent in its look. You don't have anything that's transforming. You know, sometimes you have these AI videos, and over the course of the runtime of the video, things warp and transform and change, and, you know, elbows and fingers get added that weren't there at the beginning of the video, and just all that type of stuff. This doesn't do any of that. Now, each video, all four of these have slight differences in terms of the details, slight variations. Maybe the bike does a slightly different motion, you know what I mean? Certain slight background things are slightly different, but overall they're all kind of honoring the same idea. I was very impressed with this right here, with these results. Very clean, stays consistent to the image, the original image, so I was happy with that. But then I said, let's try some more. So now we're gonna go down to here. So obviously this is a character that's basically supposed to be Celine from Underworld. Obviously doesn't look exactly like Kate Beckinsale, but I'm fine with that. It's just, it actually works better just for the effect. But stylistically, in terms of attire, all that type of stuff, you know, pretty damn close, right? So this image right here, let's click on this. So this image, I actually downloaded this image and took it into Kling AI and generated a video, and that video is actually in the trailer that I'm putting together. It's in the timeline in DaVinci Resolve. I'm working on it right now. It's actually pretty much done right now. I just need to create like a title screen or something like that. But so I'm actually going to put up that video in this video. I'll put it in the frame here. Maybe you can take a look at it now. This one was done in Kling AI, but then I said, let me try to kind of recreate it, or just, you know, animate that same image in DaVinci, or not DaVinci Resolve, in Midjourney, and see what Midjourney does with it. And again, this is kind of it. I got the order really messed up. I did this video before I did the bike video. But anyways, point being, let's look at what Midjourney did with this image. Now, another thing I will add is I did manual for this one. I actually manual high motion, and the only thing I did utilizing this manual option is I went into the prompt and I just made a subtle change. Because in the original prompt it just says you know, yada yada yada, she's crouched down on one knee, she's holding a skull in one hand, she's wearing yada yada yada. Now I altered the prompt, and the only thing I changed was, after I said she's crouched down on one knee, I said she then slowly stands up. Now, to be fair, Midjourney probably would have made her do that anyways, just because that's kind of the natural, kind of default motion. If somebody's crouched down, if you're going to animate it, you're probably going to make them stand up. Maybe you can make them crawl or something, but most of the time you're just going to make them stand up. So who knows how necessary it was for me to even put that in there. But none of these actually got used in my project. For varying reasons. One of them being, in this first one here, if you look at it, starts out good enough, but then the head, that skull, just starts floating in the air. Her hand comes off of it, and that skull is just free floating for no real reason. So some of the details just didn't work, but the actual quality of the image and kind of her movement, like her body movement, was quality. But I still ultimately liked the Kling AI one better for what I was going to use it for. But this was very promising. So, and these are the only Midjourney animate / video generations that I've done so far. So again, I'm not, you know, this isn't any sort of like true tutorial or expertise, or hey, this is what you do to make good videos or whatever. Just kind of me showing like kind of a dabble session. This is all that I've done so far. But what I will say is these last two generations with the bike and with Celine gave me, I was impressed by these, to the point where I'm like, okay, Midjourney, depending on what you're trying to do, Midjourney might be able to compete a little bit with Kling AI in terms of video generation. Kling AI is still my kind of default right now. You know, do images in Midjourney, then I take those images into Kling AI. To me, that's the best kind of way for me to do things right now. But I'm actually impressed with this, with Midjourney. I think one of the big things, and I think this has always been the case with generating video through images, the higher quality the image is that you start out with, the better chance of a high quality video you're going to get from that image, which might kind of be like, okay, no shit, but like, you know, it's worth pointing out. And I think sometimes, because sometimes I kind of forget that myself, you know, those early kind of bike, the video, the kind of the images I showed you, that first generation I did, using this image, like the actual videos that were generated from that image, these right here, you know, if I'm honest, they're good in the sense that they honor the image that they were created from. You know what I mean? So, you know, I kind of, the fact that I don't like these 4 generations right there, I gotta blame that more on the original image as opposed to, you know, Midjourney didn't do its job or something like that. Like, I chose to try to create videos based off of that image, and if the image in the beginning isn't completely to my liking, I can't really expect the video that comes from that image to be to my liking. So something to keep in mind. Like I said, it might seem obvious, but you know, even the basics sometimes are worth going over once again, right? So so that's it. That's the video, you guys. It's not, again, not a deep dive or real true tutorial into how to use the Midjourney video feature. I mean, obviously I kind of showed you the basics of it, like in terms of to access it. Like if you just hover your cursor over an image that you've generated, you will get these 3 buttons right here that pop up where you have variation subtle, variation strong, and now you have an animate button. So you can click on that and to start the process, or you can just straight up click on the image, and then you go over here to the right side and you go down and you got your animate image options, auto, low motion, high motion, all that stuff that I talked about. And if you click manual, you know, you're going to want to have a prompt that really specifies what sort of movement you're looking for. The unfortunate thing about it is because they're late to the party with it, they don't really stand out yet, because now, since so many other companies already have AI video generation, now it's about the quality of the generations and the consistency, the fluidity, the accuracy, the prompts, all that type of stuff. Now it becomes about the actual result, which is actually a good space to be in. Everybody, you know, everybody has their tools and everything up and running. Now it's about the results of what those tools create. So that's the video, guys. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one.